जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So yesterday we read about the 5 limbs of surrender. And we discussed about it yesterday. So today we'll continue reading here. The Lord demands that one surrender unto Him by following these 6 guidelines. But the unintelligent so called scholars of the world misunderstand these demands and urge the general mass of people to reject them. At the conclusion of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna directly says, engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Bhagavad Gita 9.34. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mam evaishyasi yukt vaivam atmanam mat parayanaha. So in Bhagavad Gita 9.34, Krishna is saying that he is asking each one of us, not one should, not general, but it is for individually for me, individually for you. Engage your mind always in thinking of Krishna. Offer obeisances. We offer our Dandavat Pranam, Panchang Pranam. Offer obeisances and worship Krishna. Being completely absorbed in Krishna, surely one will go back to Krishna. And one must surrender to Krishna and to Krishna's lotus feet by following the 6 guidelines. What are the 6 guidelines? There's a beautiful bhajan by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur where one of the 2 verses gives gives these 6 limbs. Dainya Atma Nivedana Goptrite Varana Avashya Rakshive Krishna Vishwasa Palana Bhakti Anukula Matra Karya Rashika Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vajarangika Shadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejaha Tahare Prarthana Shone Sri Nanda Kumar. So anybody who has these 6 limbs of surrender, for such a devotee, every prayer, every desire that such a devotee has, Sri Nanda Kumar, who is Nanda Kumar? Krishna. Krishna will fulfill all those prayers, will listen to all those prayers. None of those prayers will go unheard because that devotee is completely surrendered in all the 6 ways at the lotus feet of Krishna. However, the scholarly demons, this is Srila Prabhupada very mercifully and very clearly upfront, no hide and seek. They are scholarly, they may be scholarly in the worldly subjects, but they are demons as per the scriptures. They are demons because they do not accept the instructions and words of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So they are cheaters. The scholarly demons misguide the masses of people by directing them to the impersonal, unmanifest, eternal, unborn truth rather than the personality of Godhead. The impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers do not accept that the ultimate aspect of the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead. They will say, they will use flowery words. This is God, you are also God, I am also God. Once somebody leaves the body, then they come out of this material world and they will merge into God. They will also become God. So one day we all will become God. So these kind of foolish whimsical philosophies are followed by the impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers. And they cannot accept the fact that the ultimate aspect for which everybody, all the transcendentalists are looking forward to or are desiring for. The ultimate aspect is the of the absolute truth is what? The supreme personality. Personality means what? A person. But what kind of person? The supreme person. Supreme personality of what? Of Godhead. So there is there are many lords, many Ishwars, but who is the Param Ishwar? Who is above all of these controllers and gods and Ishwars? Param Ishwar is Lord Krishna himself. So he is called the supreme personality of Godhead. If one desires to understand the sun as it is, one must first face the sunshine, then the sun globe, and after entering into that globe, come face to face with the predominating deity of the sun. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the Mayavadi philosophers cannot go beyond the Brahman effulgence, which may be compared to the sunshine. So, if somebody looks at the sunshine and says that there is nothing beyond the sunshine is, it's just the sunshine, there is nothing beyond it. And that is, we can understand, then that is mere sheer foolishness. So, the Mayavadi philosophers are also like that. They cannot think or go anywhere beyond the Brahman effulgence. And what is the Brahman effulgence? It is just the bodily effulgence of Krishna. And they think that there is nothing beyond that effulgence. It is just that white, bright light. Nothing is beyond that. So that is like Srila Prabhupada is giving an example here that it is as good as thinking that there is nothing beyond the sunshine. But one must question, an intelligent person will obviously think that this sunshine is coming from somewhere. So going beyond that means there must be some sun globe. Something should be there from where the sunshine is emanating. And if there is a sun globe, if there is something like that, then there must be a predominating deity of the sun who is controlling all the timings and everything. It is not that somebody is manually waking up the sun, putting a switch on, and then the sunshine comes. That doesn't happen. But somebody must be doing it. If it is not you and me, there must be someone. So we have to understand that there is a predominating deity in the sun, of the sun, who is taking charge of all these things, who has been given charge of this. The Upanishads confirm that one has to penetrate the dazzling effulgence of Brahman before one can see the real face of the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya therefore teaches direct worship of Lord Krishna, who appeared as the foster child of the king of Vraja. He also foster child, why? Because he came in the womb of Mother Devaki and then he was carried to Mother Yashoda. He also suggests that the place known as Vrindavan is as good as Lord Krishna because there is no difference between the name, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, and paraphernalia of Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna himself. So all the paraphernalia of Lord Krishna is as good as Lord Krishna himself. So we should one should understand that the same respect, same uh, worship or same devotion should be given, or should we should hold the same level of devotion or respect for all the paraphernalia, the name, the holy name of the Lord, the holy dham of the Lord, the holy pastimes of the Lord, the entourage, that is all the parshads, all the intimate associates of the Lord. We should hold the same. So even the pure devotees are included in it. When uh, uh, so neophytes, they think that okay, in the temple when we go, the most important focus should be to go and see the deities. But actually, we should understand that the devotees of the Lord are equally worshipable, and Krishna is most pleased when somebody worships or when somebody uh, takes instructions from his pure devotees, like Srila Prabhupada, like the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So, and very clearly it is mentioned that there is no difference between the name, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, and paraphernalia of Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna himself. That is the absolute nature of the absolute truth. Lord Chaitanya also recommended that the highest mode of worship in the highest perfectional stage is the method practiced by the damsels of Vraja Gopis. These damsels, the gopis or cowherd girls, simply love Krishna without a motive for material or spiritual gain. The Braja gopis, they never had any conditions or any desires in their mind that I love Krishna, and if I give myself to Krishna, or if I do this for Krishna, then I will get this in return. They never thought of such a thing. This kind of thought never touches a gopi, and that is why their love for Krishna is always without a motive for any kind of gain, whether material or spiritual. And that is why Lord Chaitanya recommends that that is the highest mode of worship in the highest perfectional stage. There is nothing beyond that. Lord Chaitanya also recommended Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless narration of transcendental knowledge. And he pointed out that the highest goal in human life is to develop unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya's teachings are identical to those given by Lord Kapil. Now there were two Kapil Munis. One is an imitation, and the actual Lord Kapil Dev is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So this here Lord Kapil refers to this incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Lord Chaitanya's teachings are identical to those given by Lord Kapil, the original propounder of Sankhya Yoga, a Sankhya system of philosophy. This authorized system of yoga recommends meditation on the transcendental form of the Lord. There are various kinds of meditation. There are so many programs, Vipassana program, this program, that program. People do blank meditations. People do meditation for days at end. But what's the point? After doing all that meditation for 7 days, they feel a lot of peace and calm. But after they come back from their vipassana and all this so-called meditation, they are again back into that stress. So it is not long lasting. It will not make much of a difference because you are meditating on nothing, on nothingness. So that's not possible. You cannot stay in that mode of peace and calm, because once you come back to the hustle and bustle of your life, you will not be able to be in that mood of nothingness. So here, Lord Kapil, he propounded the Sankhya Yoga, which recommends meditation on transcendental form of the Lord. That one needs to meditate on the transcendental form of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, the 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 Tribhanga form of the Lord. So all this. There is no question of meditating on something void or impersonal. One can meditate on the transcendental form of Lord Vishnu even without practicing involved sitting postures. So for meditation, there is a requirement that one should sit in so and so posture, the back should be straight, and one should sit in, the place that one sits. That also has so many rules and regulations, so many um, uh, methods are given that this place should be such and such kind and surrounded by such and such environment. One should be looking at this particular direction and not that direction. The feet should not touch the ground. So many rules and regulations to do a simple meditation on what? On void, on nothingness. But to meditate on the transcendental form of Lord Vishnu, Vishnu is Krishna. Even without practicing any proper sitting postures, one can do this meditation. There is no hard and fast rules. Such meditation is called perfect samadhi. If somebody does this kind of meditation, meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord, then that is perfect samadhi. Whether the person is sitting, lying, sleeping, whatever, whether the person is in the bathroom passing urine and motion, if the person is thinking about the transcendental form of the Lord, that is perfect samadhi, even in that condition. This perfect samadhi is verified at the end of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna says, "And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all." Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesham. That verse. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. Lord Chaitanya instructed the mass of people in the Sankhya philosophy of Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva, which maintains that the Supreme Lord is simultaneously one with and different from his creation. We'll hear about this tomorrow. Krishna willing, we'll continue reading tomorrow again. So thank you so very much for your kind association. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णव पंडित की जय। श्रील जय प्रकाश स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। I request all of you to kindly unmute. Please bless me with your loud Hari Bol.
हरि बोल।
हरि बोल।